Mr. Hosey. I want to congratulate the member for Mid Derbyshire on this debate. I think it has been a very good debate with good points raised by a number of honourable members. It is only a shame that it's clashed with the domestic abuse bill, because I know there was lots of colleagues on my side who would otherwise have been here who wanted to speak in this debate. I imagine if they had been here, they would have said much the same as has already been said. But I'm sure the Minister could have heard it from a few more voices as well. I want to welcome the Minister to his place. And although it might not be fashionable nor quite productive for my future career to say this, I'm excited about him being a minister, because his championing of causes that I believe many of the members in this House share view of from the backbenches has been really powerful. And at risk of injecting a partisan flavour into this debate, sometimes we've had the soundbite from ministers, but not the action to go with it. And I'm certain that he won't be falling for any press release camouflage over inaction. And this is one of those areas where I think there is a real opportunity to stop the long grassing of policies where there is clear cross-party support and get on with it. And I hope when he comes to his feet in a moment, he'll be saying exactly the same things there. There have been some really good contributions. The honourable member from East Kilbride has mentioned a few of them, but if I can add a few more in there. I thought the phrase from the member for Yorkshire East saying it was trophy hunting is nauseating and revolting cut through and really adequately described what is going on here. The member for Crawley rightly said that this is something that's backed by the people. 86% of the British public back a ban on trophy hunting. The honourable member for Ayr, Carrick and Cumnock, I think, spoke really passionately about the fact that this is not just something that happens abroad, which is something that we should recognise as well, and ensure that any ban takes adequate notice of, to make sure that it's not just the import, but also the export of trophies from UK wildlife in as well. The honourable for Strangford has used a correct use of yellowhammer, and it is good to see that the yellowhammer bird is getting its due attention, having its name borrowed for so many things. And I think his question, who on earth would want to shoot a zebra, I think is something that we all share that complete puzzlement on. The member for Southend, I think, was very clear in his words when he said this was a wicked, evil practice, and I agree with him fully there. I think we shouldn't mince our words about those people who go and shoot, and I'm so glad that this debate has not just been one that has been encouraged by parliamentarians, but there have been people that have used their fame and their celebrity to endorse this as well. One of those has been Ricky Gervais, who doesn't mince his words on social media when it comes to this. I especially like something he tweeted a few years ago that said, "The trophies I'm proudest of are the memories of all those times I didn't kill a beautiful, majestic, endangered species for no reason." And I think, although he may choose some more powerful language than that to describe some of the people that are engaged in trophy hunting, his leadership on social media, I think, has highlighted a cruel and inhumane practice to so many people that might not otherwise have appreciated just the barbarity of it. But it's not just him. The Minister has been in good company in his championing of this cause before. Joanna Lumley said trophy hunting is cruel, immoral and unjustifiable. That's correct. Bill Bailey said, "I can't get my head round why anyone would want to kill a beautiful creature for fun. With the dwindling numbers of species, it's time to halt this cruel and unnecessary practice." And indeed, he is right, and the speeches that we've heard today are right as well. And so I'd like to ask the Minister a few questions in my remarks here to try and understand the detail of the ban that is being proposed, because he has been very clear that we should ban trophy hunting. But what hasn't been clear from ministers in the past is the detail around what that ban composes. I know the member for Mid Derbyshire hinted at this in her opening speech, but it's looking at the thread of ministers to date was that the ban being proposed by the government would be just threatened species. So taking that international classification of which species are threatened and then banning the import of trophies in relation to that. I would like us to go much further, and Labour's position on this is it should be everything above least concern. So effectively capturing many more species, not just those at the most endangered side of it, but the species that are also of concern. Because as we have seen from the Ivory Bill, which I'm looking around the room, many of us served on together in supporting the introduction of a ban on elephant ivory, what we've seen since that ban has come in place is, as expected, And as mentioned in the Bill Committee, the trade has moved on from elephant ivory to other ivory-bearing species. The rhino, for instance, that's had additional hunting since the ban on elephant ivory has come in. We knew this at the time. We knew this at the time, and we must not make the same mistake with a trophy hunting ban in banning the most endangered and allowing that to slip down to those that are just below the most endangered. And I think that is something that the Minister will be well aware of, and hopefully with his power can make sure that is not there. I think we need to recognise that trophy hunting is cruel and unjustifiable, but it can also act as a cover for illegal poaching as well, which I believe is a kind of a sentiment thread by the honourable gentleman opposite in an intervention a moment ago. The proposed ban would cover all, our proposed ban, that Labour would like to see the government adopt, would cover all species above least concern on the IUCN Red List, which would include species classed as vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered and extinct in the wild. Sustainable alternatives to trophy hunting, such as ecotourism, photographic safaris, are generating revenues which cover the real costs of conservation and effective anti-poaching work, as well as providing well-paying permanent jobs for local people. Shooting a lion like Cecil can generate a one-off trophy fee of around $15,000. There's no evidence that that goes towards conservation, no evidence that goes towards a local community, and no evidence that goes towards the protection of other animals. Nature tourism, on the other hand, can generate money from the protection and the valuing of those wild animals. And I think there is an opportunity here, and it has been mentioned a few times, that about Brexit and the opportunities to come together. What Brexit has done for DEFRA debates is open space in the government's legislative agenda for issues that might not otherwise have got the airtime it would have deserved. And actually, if you think about what has been passed by this House on a cross-party basis in recent months, while the Brexit malaise and chaos goes on all around us, many of the same faces in this room have been working together on banning wild animals in circuses, banning the trade in elephant ivory, tightening up regulations across the board. It might not have attracted the attention of many people outside, and certainly it has not troubled some of our friends in the media, but it has been worthwhile. And we should continue that spirit, whatever is happening with Brexit around, because there is something here that I think could make a real difference to those species involved. Happy to.
I thank him for giving way. He's speaking very eloquently about the issue, and he's talking about the potential opportunities of ecotourism around this. But he will know that last year in Scotland, as my honourable friend has mentioned, the shooting of the wild goat on Isla caused a huge upset amongst people in Scotland and much further afield. But what I suppose is most upsetting is that tourism companies are actually promoting Scotland as a place to come and trophy shoot. And surely we should be clamping down on this. It's not just companies offering places like Africa as a destination, but it's also here in the UK.
I thank the honourable member for that intervention. I think she raised a very sound point. I think it was on a common theme with the member from Southend who raised a concern around what are the powers that government have around the advertising of those tourist products. As someone who has worked in tourism, I spent 5 years working for ABTA and worked in support of the ABTA animal welfare guidelines to encourage ABTA members to make sure that animals are being used sustainably and not endangering either themselves, their habitats, or those handlers around. I think there's opportunities to make sure that those principles, which are good and strong, are spread across not just ABTA members, but the entire tourism industry. And I think, I'm sure the Minister will be familiar with them. If he's not, I would encourage him to have a read next time he's having some bedtime reading, because I think there's some real strength there and some real opportunities to do the right thing. We can't, I think the market does not correct all ills. And on this case here, I think there is a role for real moral leadership from the government in relation to this. Now, I hope the Minister will be as strong and forthright in his new role as he has been in the campaigning up to date. I was very pleased to see a letter that he co-signed in The Guardian in April with a series of high-profile supporters that said banning the import of hunting trophies will send a clear message to the international community that there is no place for trophy hunting in this day and age. And we must be clear that the continuation of that colonial and neo-colonial practice of rich people descending on communities for whom that extra money can have a real, can have a positive benefit to their lifestyle, to do something that is actually abhorrent, is something that we shouldn't accept anymore. He was in good company in that letter with not only the Prime Minister's father and partner, Michael Paling, Captain Kirk, William Shatner was there, Matt Lucas, Will Travis and Bourne Free, but also the members for Leeds Central, Sheffield South East, West Lancashire, Kensington, Stroud, Makerfield and many others besides. And I would encourage the Minister, as my final remark here, to not allow himself or his passion for this topics to be diluted by the sense within government sometimes that animal welfare legislation can be cut up and parcelled in different parts, like the Ivory Bill that we have seen. The Ivory Bill should have been a comprehensive ban on ivory. Indeed, I think it is something that he supported up on the back benches. But it was allowed to be parcelled out into smaller bits. And I hope that the new administration will move away from that type of parcelling up of animal welfare opportunities. There is a real opportunity here on a cross-party basis where people that may be bitterly divided on Brexit and other matters are coming together around animal welfare. And I would encourage him to be as bold as he can be, because in these times here, animals do not have a voice. And every animal matters. We need to make sure that we are their voice. And through the Minister, I think he has the opportunity to be a bull in the china shop in relation to the previous behaviour of the right soundbite but the wrong action, to make sure that we have the comprehensive trophy hunting ban that we really deserve, and that the animals in the wild and indeed the canned line industry that the member from Mid Derbyshire spoke about can really benefit from. Thank you very much.